Volkswagen has always named their SUV starting from a T. So we've had the Touareg, and we've had the Tiguan, and the Tiguan Allspace, and the T-Roc. And I know what you're thinking. If you're not a car guy, that confuses you. And here's one more car that starts with a T to confuse you, the Taigun. But you see, VW has had this issue where none of their SUVs so far have really been major mass market successes, and this car is what they intend to change that with. The new Taigun is the first car in VW's 2.0 project for India. It's the perfect size SUV to take on the juggernaut like the Creta and the Seltos, and it looks great, doesn't it? I know why I like this car. It's not over-designed, and I hate stuff that's over-designed. VW does this really well. It makes everything a little more sort of sensible, a little more mature, a little more grown-up, and that's why their designs age really well. I mean, look at the Polo. Even after 11 years, it still looks great, doesn't it? And this has remnants of the Polo everywhere. It's got those sharp lines, it's got that upright face, and that upright face is what SUV buyers in India want. It gives you that road presence. So this little ridge, it helps. And the other thing that Indian SUV buyers always want, or well, most Indian car buyers always want, chrome literally everywhere. So now that I've officially managed to slip in a Shah Rukh Khan pose into a car review, which incidentally was a bet, and I have done it, so haha, there you go. I am going to now talk about the best part of design on the Taigun, which of course is the rear end. Now, I know this big black slab is going to be an absolute dust magnet if you're driving over bad roads, but the design in general is going to age so well as compared to everything else in the segment. And these tail lamps, the ones that connect themselves from each end to the other, they look really nice. And if you're wondering, there's even more chrome. Now there are a couple of things that are interesting too, and then there are some things that fall short. The bonnet creases, for example, add that slight edginess, and the SUV in profile really does look like an SUV and not like a normal hatchback or an MPV on stilts. Good. Not so good though are these 16-inch wheels on the fully loaded manual version. They belong in 2008, not in 2021. And of course the automatic does get these two-tone 17s, but even those are a bit of a love it or hate it, and I certainly am finding it quite hard to love them. It isn't too hard to design a good set of wheels, you guys. Just go and get some help from BBS. Okay, end of rant, time to step inside. Now let me be straight up honest right from the get-go. I like the way the Taigun looks on the inside. I like the symmetry of all these cuts and angles everywhere, and I like the way there's color-coded bits inside, because it reminds me of older cars which had a metal dashboard and was always color-coded to the exterior. I even like this fake carbon fiber trim. It reminds me of the Urus, which of course has real carbon fiber, but it's done cleanly. It doesn't look forced. It doesn't look like there's something that's just been put in for the sake of being put in. Now, I must admit there are a couple of things that I'm not too impressed by, like for example, just the overall quality of plastic on the AC vents. It just isn't up to mark. Even the buttons on the analog instrument cluster, or even the plastic here, it just feels a little low grade. Honestly, I'm not too big a fan of the AC controls as well. They're just a little bit finicky. These sort of touch controls, I would rather have a button or something like that there. But in general, it does look and feel very Volkswagen. It looks and feels clean. It looks and feels like it's meant to do what it's meant to do, and that's something that I like: simplicity and cleanliness. Right, time to get into that back seat. Right, now, this time around what I did was something different. Normally we would get to the back seat and prepare what we're going to talk about on camera, but this time around I decided to get into the back seat completely blind. This is the first time I'm in here, and honestly what I wanted to get to all you guys is a literal first time opinion. It doesn't feel too bad. Honestly, it doesn't feel like a bench seat. It feels sculpted out. You've got this nice support on the sides here. You've got, well, not too much headspace, but decent headspace. If you're maybe more than 6 feet tall, that might be an issue in the back here. But you do have the leg space, so you could slump down a little bit maybe and make that fit. Now this seat is in my driving position, so it's sort of behind already. And you see, still have about 6 inches of leg space. So, cross country with 4 adults, this would be a great car. Is there enough space for a 5th adult here? Well, if he or she is okay being a little uncomfortable or sort of sitting up a little bit ahead of everybody else, you could do that. But on the whole, as I mentioned, this is a better space for just 2 people at the back. Oh, I almost forgot. If you are going to be in this car though, and if you're going to travel or if you're going to use it in the city, do remember VW has en masse moved on to USB-C cables. So a normal USB 2.0 port doesn't exist anywhere in the car anymore. You do have 4 USB-C ports, so you might have to get yourself an adapter or buy a new cable. They aren't too expensive, but that's just a little tidbit that you need to know if you go and buy one of these now. There are some unnecessary omissions from the Winter version too, like for example the lack of one-touch up and down windows, the sunroof, and of course the digital instrument cluster. Or cool seats. Cool seats, Volkswagen. Why? Why?
तेरे को बराबर होता नहीं क्या बोलने को? चले एक काम कर 200 रुपए दे और 50 रुपए काट ओवर एक्टिंग में 50 रुपए काट ओवर एक्टिंग की वजह से.
Luckily though, you do get 6 airbags, at least in the top spec automatic. The manual though doesn't. I guess everything does have a price, and sadly the Indian audience have become smarter, and that might actually be an issue for some. Okay then, it's time to do what we came here to do in Udaipur, and that's drive the VW Taigun. And honestly, like any other VW car, this should feel nice and sporty to drive because that's VW's DNA, isn't it? It just feels nicer to drive than say the Japanese or the Koreans. It just feels nice and solid. Even my 7-year-old 1.2 Polo still feels nice to drive, even though it absolutely makes no power at all. This does make some power because when you have the 1.5 TSI Evo engine, and without meaning to bore you a lot, let me quickly go through the specs. 150 horsepower, 250 Newton meters of torque. You can get a 6-speed manual like the one I have right now, or you can get the 7-speed DSG automatic, the DQ200. And overall, honestly, I'd have the automatic because why wouldn't you? Even if it is a little bit more expensive, which I'm guessing it will be, and better loaded in terms of features, I would still get that. But if you did still want the manual, the good news is that it's a fun little thing and you can grab it by the scruff of its neck and make it perform, and it kinda likes that. Kinky. Shifts are sharp, it does 102nd gear, and there's a great low end and a decent amount of mid-range performance. You know that sportiness that I spoke about just a little earlier? It's not just the engine that feels nice and pokey, it's even the way the thing rides. Yes, it's a little bit stiff over bad roads and you do feel that little bit of, I guess, crashiness, but that inspires confidence by the boatload. I would throw this into a corner much harder than I would throw some of its rivals, and honestly, this package as a whole is really a driver's package. Now this obviously is badged GT, so it better sort of live up to that GT badge because the GT TSI Polo is an absolute legend in the Indian car scene, and this is well the second car that VW has put the GT badge on now. And honestly, as you can see from the smile on my face, it definitely meets my expectation of that GT badge. It feels fun, it feels quick in the city, it feels really confident on bad roads and on the highway. Right, so that's the manual done with. It's time to get into the automatic, because at the end of the day, when we do get queries about what SUV I should buy, it's always an automatic. People just don't seem to want to buy manuals anymore, and honestly, I wouldn't blame them. So we finally made our way out of the city and onto the highway, and boy oh boy am I glad, because Rajasthan's highway, well, they're as smooth as a baby's bottom. And honestly, the DSG is the absolute perfect thing here because it's going to be so smooth to drive and so easy to drive and cruise at high speeds as well. But obviously there are some differences, so the interior is a little more mature, a little more premium looking as compared to the manual, because you get rid of that red accent piece and you have the silver ones, and honestly they look a lot more expensive. The car feels a little bit more premium, and that's great because this isn't going to be a cheap car. You're going to be paying a premium, so might as well make the most of it. This is the one that I'd get, the top spec automatic petrol. That's not what you want to hear, right? You really want to know how the DSG is to drive, because at the end of the day, that's what all of you are going to ask me about, and that's what most of you are actually going to end up buying. Well, and the answer is pretty much simple. It's a Volkswagen Group dual clutch automatic. What do you expect it to do? It's going to do everything well, and it does everything well in this Taigun too. I mean, shifts are smooth, you get paddle shifters if you want to go all manual, and honestly, you can settle down into a bit of a lull and enjoy cruising, or you can go completely ham, go flat on the throttle, and it will shift really quickly and it'll give you all that feedback that you really want and make the most of that 1.5 litre TSI Evo engine. Now this of course is the top spec automatic, and it does get those 17-inch wheels I talked to you about earlier, and the ride changes just a little bit as expected. It is even stiffer and even more confidence inspiring, but it is just slightly less comfortable, a trade-off a lot of buyers of this SUV will be okay with in my opinion. NVH levels are better too, with VW adding a bit of extra foam under the hood for better sound deadening. It isn't as quiet as some of the more expensive VWs, but it is more than livable in every fathomable way. Right, so let me sum this up while still driving the car, because honestly I don't feel like getting out because the road is great, car's feeling really nice, and honestly I just want to keep driving 100 kilometers this way, maybe turn around and drive 100 kilometers this way and just have a little bit of fun for the rest of my day. Should you buy one? Yes, it really looks cool, and this is a personal opinion, so don't completely jump on me for this. I think the Taigun is the best looking compact SUV that you can buy, even better than the Creta or the Seltos, and that's saying quite a bit, isn't it? Overall though, it's a great package, it feels really nice to drive, and honestly it might be a little bit expensive, but I think in the long run it might be worth the money.